Love Canadian beans tonight on Great Tastes of Manitoba with Elizabeth Harms. And so moving on, we're going to be making our red beans and rice. And of course, you had mentioned earlier that this is a dish that is really consumed in a variety of different ways, pretty much planet-wide. And so what is the Harms version of this?
Okay, so well, when I lived in Turkey, I actually used to eat a version of this myself for lunch almost every day.
Oh, you lived in Turkey. Well, I have many questions about that, but okay, go on.
But we had a version of beans and rice. It was white rice, usually with chickpeas or with white beans. And sometimes you could have it together, and they usually served it with fresh vegetables, tomatoes, cucumbers, and fresh herbs on top. And it was like, it came in a nice plate with like formed bowl there, and it was, it was so good. And it's so good because it's full of fiber and protein, so it lasts you the whole day. You know, sometimes you eat lunch and then you feel like halfway through the afternoon you need to eat again.
Give me more, yeah.
But not with a meal like that.
But it also doesn't make you feel like really, heavy. It's because it's healthy and it's filled with good things. We're going to tell more about that.
Yeah. So for this particular version, I've kind of combined a couple of different ideas. So I've kind of combined the Spanish beans and rice with kind of the flavors that you would find in the southern states. So like cumin and chili powder and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I've got onion and garlic already in there sauteing. I'm going to chop up some celery, and I've got some pepper as well, and we're going to add that right away. And the key to this is really kind of cooking these veggies down. Of course, it takes a little bit of time to get there, but
we're going to give you the general idea.
Yeah, we're going to give you the general idea here.
And so I'm thinking, like, as you described it, like it was a wonderful meal that you had when you were living abroad.
Yes.
But also, a nice side dish.
Absolutely. I think it's great for a potluck as well.
Yeah.
Easy. Nice. Because it makes quite a large amount, it's easy just to pop it in the oven and then take it with you wherever you're going.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we're using canola oil today. I love canola oil. It's got a very high smoke point, so it doesn't burn easily. It's got a great neutral flavor, which actually makes it perfect for any kind of dish that you're gonna cook.
Yeah, so this is a Canola Harvest canola oil. So this is a local company, and made with Canadian-grown canola. It's very responsibly grown and harvested. It's really all about sustainability, and so that's kind of another nice feature of we get to use these products in our recipes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've got those veggies cooking down. Usually this takes about 8-ish minutes, but that's okay. We're going to kind of forge ahead here.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about some of the spices that we're adding. So I've got some greenery here. I've got some thyme and oregano.
Yeah.
And we're going to add that right away. And then I've got those kind of warm, kind of heat-inducing spices. So I've got chili powder, a little bit of cayenne, and some paprika in there. And the cayenne, of course, if you are a heat person, you could do up to 1/4 teaspoon, but I've just done a sprinkle in there just to kind of give it that little bit of heat.
Bit of warmth.
Yeah. So you can stir those in, and you'll notice kind of within a minute or so, you'll get that fragrance going.
And the color
and the color too, right? And that's one of the reasons why we add the herbs and the spices now, so we get the flavor and we get the fragrance, and it really kind of permeates throughout the dish.
Wonderful.
And we're going to really taste those later on.
Okay, now.
Yes, now comes like the good parts, the meaty parts of this. We've got rice.
So this is just your plain long grain white rice.
Yes. We've got 2 cups of that.
Okay.
Put that straight in there. I have half a can of your diced tomatoes with the juices.
Yeah.
You can pour that in there. And then we come to our red kidney beans. So I've got a whole can here. They've been drained and they've been rinsed. And the reason that we rinse them is just kind of get that liquid off, that kind of that loopy stuff.
Yeah.
But it's also where the preservatives and the salt lives. So if you're buying cans that have those, like if it's not no salt added or something like that, rinsing that salt off if you're concerned about that can be a great way to manage that.
Then you just got the bean.
Exactly. That's the most important part. So we're going to add those red kidney beans in and give that a really good stir so everything's kind of combined. And then once you are happy with the way it looks, we add 3 cups of veggie stock. You can use any kind of stock you like here. You can use chicken, beef, You could even use water, whatever you've got on hand or whatever you prefer.
Might as well make it stock, right? I guess, you know, it's just, I always find that it's a little bit more flavorful.
I
Right?
totally agree. Yeah.
Okay.
One of the reasons why I like using stock myself, for
Now,
sure.
there's a couple of ways that we can cook this. We're doing this on the stove top, and you'll want to add a little bit of water, I guess, if the rice starts to stick. Is that kind of the idea?
First of all, shout out to our producer who does so much work prepping and getting us ready for this show.
Yes.
Who suggested that we try this in the oven, which had not occurred to me in the slightest. I thought stovetop all the way. But stovetop does require a little more hands-on attention. You want to stir that rice a little bit more, make sure it doesn't burn. But we're going to cook it in the oven today. It goes into a 375 oven for about 18 to 24 minutes.
Got one in there, don't we?
Yeah, and when you put it, or when you take it out of the oven after it's cooking, you want to make sure that there's still a little bit of moisture or liquid left in there. You don't want it to get super, super dry, because then the rice might be crunchy.
We don't want
don't want that. So you want it to be a little bit moister. Make sure all that there's a little bit of liquid that's been cooked in
Absolutely.
there.
Look at it. It's absolutely beautiful. So a couple different ways to make it. Of course, red beans and rice here on Great Taste of Manitoba, and love Canadian beans. When we come back, of course, a lot of soybeans, pulses, the same farming families that produce and create those types of products. Also, canola. And so we're going to meet another one of these amazing families here, the Sloans, in just a moment here on Great Taste of Manitoba. We appreciate you, whether you're new to this channel or a long-time viewer. If you'd like to join us in the kitchen regularly and meet farm families across Manitoba, please subscribe. We share new videos every Sunday.